My wife betrayed me when I got sick, then regretted it when she found out I was worth $1.5 million. So, here's the deal. I never thought I'd be that guy, but life threw me a hell of a curveball. My wife ditched me for another dude when I got sick, then had the nerve to try crawling back once she realized I was healthy again and had some serious money coming my way. I am a 45-year-old guy, and seriously, things have been pretty rough emotionally lately. About 6 months ago, everything started to fall apart. I was at work when I suddenly collapsed. They rushed me to the emergency room, and after what felt like endless tests, the doctors told me I had a pretty serious health issue. It turned out to be a liver infection, and while it was treatable, they warned me that if I ignored it, it could turn into something life-threatening. At the time, my wife was out of town at her friend's wedding. I decided not to tell her over the phone because I did not want to freak her out. I figured I would wait until she got home. But when she finally came back and saw how pale and sick I looked, I had no choice but to tell her everything. She was definitely shocked, but I do not know. I expected a little more warmth or comfort from her. Instead, it felt like she was more disappointed than sad. It was almost like she was blaming me, as if I had brought this on myself somehow. It really hurt, but I tried not to dwell on it. I focused on staying positive and doing what I needed to do to get better. Managing work and my health at the same time was not easy. The doctors put me on a strict diet and told me to make big changes to my lifestyle. It was tough trying to juggle all that while still keeping up at the office, but I pushed through and gave it my best shot. Meanwhile, I could feel my wife pulling away from me. She just was not as close as she used to be. Every time I tried to be intimate or even just cuddle, she would brush me off, telling me I should rest or saying she was too tired. It started to weigh on me. Eventually, I confronted her about it, and she claimed she was just stressed out because of everything going on with my illness. But deep down, I did not buy it. When you are worried about someone you love, you do not shut them out, you get closer. And she was doing the exact opposite. To keep my mind off the whole situation, I threw myself into work. Seriously, I got so busy that I started slipping up, missing meals, forgetting my medication here and there. It was bound to catch up with me, and sure enough, it did. I ended up getting really sick again and had to be hospitalized for a week. This time, my wife saw just how bad things had gotten. To her credit, she stepped up and took care of me while I was stuck in the hospital. But the doctors gave me a serious talk. They told me flat out that if I did not slow down, things were going to spiral out of control. They wanted me to take medical leave from work and focus on recovery. But that felt impossible. See, I do not work some random corporate job. My job is personal. My best friend from college started his own company years ago, and after it really took off, he invited me to join the team in a senior role with great pay. I have been there ever since, and I treat that company like it is my own. I manage a critical part of the business, and I have always felt responsible for helping it grow. I took a few days to rest, but then I was right back at it. I could not just sit around. One day, I was going over my medical report with my doctor on the phone, and my friend, the founder and chief executive officer, overheard the conversation. He was furious that I had kept my health issues from him while still working so hard. He demanded that I take a sabbatical and focus on getting better. I told him the truth. I was not sure if I would ever fully recover enough to return to work. That is why I wanted to work as much as I could while I still could, to make sure my wife would be financially secure if the worst happened. I had not told anyone that, not even her. But deep down, I just had this awful feeling that things were only going to get worse for me. I ended up breaking down a bit while talking to my friend. He assured me that if, God forbid, something did happen, he would personally make sure my wife was financially taken care of. That meant the world to me, but I still did not want to be a burden to him. Still, he insisted I take a 6-month sabbatical with full pay. He even said I could work from home here and there if I felt up to it. When I got home, I told my wife that I would not be going back to work starting the next day. Before I could explain everything, she cut me off and asked if I had been fired. I shot her a sarcastic look and said, "Yeah, because of my health." I figured I would make a little joke to lighten the mood. But her first reaction? She asked, "Are you dying?" That hit me like a punch to the gut. How could she be so cold? I went along with it anyway and said, "Yeah." Then she asked, "How long?" I told her the doctor said maybe 4 or 8 months, maybe sooner. I really thought she would break down crying or something, and then I could tell her I was joking. But nope, her reaction was so cold, it left me speechless. She just said, "How am I supposed to manage financially? You do not have enough savings for me to live on. I told you before, you should have left your friend's company and taken that higher-paying overseas job. We could have built real wealth by now, so I would not be stuck struggling." That was it. She was not upset that I was dying. She was upset that I was dying broke. That stung more than I can even explain. I almost told her right then and there about the equity I held in the company, how it was already worth around $1,500,000 and was set to grow even more. But I stopped myself. I wanted to see what she would do next. I should have mentioned earlier that my friend had given me a pretty generous equity stake in the company back when we hit our first big milestone. Since then, it has grown into something huge, and it is only going to keep growing. But from that moment on, my marriage pretty much froze. Every conversation with her became purely transactional. She stopped asking how I was feeling. I would see her leave the house early in the morning and come home late at night, usually grabbing dinner somewhere else. Thing is, my wife, well, I should stop calling her that. Let's just call her Emma, never really held down a full-time job. She worked part-time as a beauty tech at a salon, mostly during the busy seasons. Seriously, with everything going on, her drifting away and acting distant was tearing me up inside, but I tried to keep my focus on my health. Then, last month, she dropped a bomb on me. She straight up asked when we were getting divorced. I swear, it felt like the floor fell out from under me. Divorce? That was the last thing I wanted to deal with while fighting for my health. I just sat there, completely stunned. Emma acted like it was no big deal. She told me, "You shouldn't be surprised. I need to move on. It's better if I start creating some distance." I could not believe what I was hearing. Out of frustration, I asked her, half joking but half serious, "So, you already found my replacement?" Without missing a beat, she nodded. "Yeah, there's a guy I've known for a while. I've been going on dates with him. He's looking like boyfriend material." I cannot even explain the wave of emotions that hit me in that moment. It felt like someone had hollowed out my chest. My entire marriage felt like a lie. I told my best friend what was going on, and he immediately told me to remove Emma from everything, legal documents, beneficiaries, all of it. I did exactly that. I took her name off my company equity, took her off every account, every policy. She never knew about the equity because I had planned to surprise her with it when I retired. That money would have been huge by then. Looking back, I'm actually relieved I never told her. If she had known, she probably would have kept up the act just to stick around for the payday. Quick note, the doctors originally said I had a serious liver infection. It was not terminal at the time, but they warned me it could turn that way if I did not follow treatment. Thankfully, they still think I can make a full recovery as long as I stick to the plan, medication, diet, lifestyle changes, rest, all that. That prank I pulled on Emma, when I told her it was terminal, yeah, that's what really flipped the switch. That little joke showed me exactly who she was. Update 1. Hey everyone, just wanted to say thanks for all the support. You all are right. Seriously, I am grateful I lied about being terminal. If I hadn't, I never would have seen her true colors. Otherwise, I would have wasted my whole life with someone who never really cared. We never had kids. My parents passed away a few years ago. I have a brother, but we are not close. So by default, everything I owned would have gone to Emma. That is why I had been working myself into the ground this past year, trying to build up savings so she would be taken care of if anything happened to me. And this is what I got in return. At first, I tried to ignore her and keep focusing on my recovery. I signed up for a fitness program my doctor recommended, stuck to a strict diet, went on runs, followed every guideline to a T. But the healing just wasn't happening as fast as it should have. Eventually, I realized the biggest problem was her. Every time I saw her getting dolled up for a date, coming home late smelling like booze, makeup smeared, I felt worse. We barely spoke. And when we did, she'd make sarcastic comments about how much longer I'd live if I actually stuck to the plan. I acted like I didn't care, but inside, it killed me. I could feel it slowing down my recovery, maybe even making it worse. Before all this, my life was pretty boring. Just work and home. And now, both of those were slipping away. My friend offered me a place to stay, a little apartment on the rooftop of our office building. It was basically a one-bedroom spot with a small living area, the place we used to hang out after long days. Honestly, I jumped at the chance. Living at home had become suffocating. Moving there gave me space to breathe. Plus, being at the office meant I could still pop downstairs and chat with the team whenever I felt up to it. After just a week of living there, I already felt better. When I packed up my things, Emma asked if I was moving out for good. I told her, until the divorce is finalized. She didn't bother calling me after that. The only thing I got was a voicemail after the divorce papers were delivered. All she said was, "Thanks for making this easy." That was it. The divorce went smoothly. There wasn't much to argue over. Or at least, she thought there wasn't. She had no idea about the company equity or the real value I had tucked away. The house we lived in? It was on an 8-year lease, with only a year and a half left. I agreed to add her name, so she could stay there rent-free until it expired. She figured I had nothing left, that I was using whatever little savings I had to cover my living expenses during treatment. So yeah, everything wrapped up pretty cleanly. Now I'm just focusing on eating right, going to my fitness classes, and slowly jumping back into some office work. I even started joining important meetings remotely from my apartment to stay in the loop. My latest checkup? The doctors told me things were finally moving in a positive direction. I honestly could not be happier. For the first time in a while, I feel hopeful, like I might actually have a shot at a good, long life. I'll keep you guys posted if anything changes. Update 2. Hey again, just wanted to give a quick follow-up. After the divorce finalized, I let Emma stay in the house until the lease ran out, like I mentioned before. I stayed in the rooftop apartment at the office for a while. When I went back to the house to grab the last of my stuff, guess what? Emma's boyfriend had already moved in with her. He awkwardly walked up to me and said, "Man, I'm really sorry to hear about your terminal illness." I just smiled at him. Then he asked, "So, how much time do you have left?" I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Not sure. Maybe a few more months." Weirdly enough, I wasn't angry. I felt calm. Maybe I had already moved on, or maybe it was just satisfying knowing I had handed her off to someone else to deal with. Health update. I feel way better now. Like, way better. Seriously, I feel fitter than I have in years. Living at the office building really helped. It gave me flexibility to work at my own pace, without stress. Now that my health has stabilized, I'm planning to cash out a portion of my company equity and finally start getting my life back on track. So right now, I'm on the hunt for a new place to live. It's been over 4 months since I moved into the apartment above my office building. My best friend, the company's founder, keeps telling me I can stay as long as I want, but seriously, I do not want to overstay my welcome or take advantage of his kindness. In the middle of all this, I got a message from a number I did not recognize. It turned out to be from AP's wife. She asked if we could meet in person. I was curious, so I agreed. When we sat down, the first thing she did was ask about my health. She gave me this puzzled look and said, "You don't look like someone battling a terminal illness." I just smiled and asked her what else she knew about me and why exactly she wanted to talk. That's when she dropped a bombshell. She told me her husband, AP, had been having an affair with Emma for more than 2 years. They had kept it a secret the whole time. But after news of my illness spread, and once Emma got the house, AP confessed everything to his wife. He left her and moved straight into my house with Emma. I sat there stunned. I knew Emma had been cheating, but not for that long. And I could not believe she let AP move into a house she didn't even own. The place was under lease for another 1.5 years. And to top it off, she had acted like she only found another man because she could not handle my illness, when in reality, she had been sneaking around behind my back for years. AP's wife was devastated. She told me that Emma had deliberately pursued AP once she learned he inherited money from his father a couple of years ago. AP was older than us, probably mid-50s, and they had grown kids. His wife said she wanted to fix things with him, but Emma was in the way. She was hoping I could help her get AP back. I asked if she was really sure about that. After all, he had been cheating on her for 2 years. But she nodded and said yes. She didn't want to end up alone during retirement. They had made all these plans for growing old together, and she could not imagine throwing it all away now. Seriously? I wasn't going to judge her. It was her choice. They weren't divorced yet, so she still had a chance if that's what she wanted. I decided to tell her the truth about my health, that I wasn't terminal after all, and I was actually getting better. She lit up when she heard that and congratulated me. Then she asked me what I planned to do next, and I told her I was looking for a new home. That's when I let it slip that the house Emma and AP were living in wasn't owned. It was just a lease with only 1.5 years left. Her eyes sparkled when she heard that. I could tell right away she had a plan for me. She thanked me and left. The next morning, my phone started blowing up. Emma was calling nonstop, leaving message after message. There were voicemails and texts asking why I lied about my health, why I never told her I was getting better, why I betrayed her by keeping the company equity a secret. I could not stop laughing listening to her frantic voice notes. Later that day, she showed up at my office. I saw her pacing in the lobby from the conference room, but I told the receptionist to make her wait a couple of hours. I know it sounds petty, but watching her squirm brought me a weird sense of satisfaction. For months, I had sat around feeling miserable while she went out dressed up for dates, coming home drunk, barely even acknowledging me. Now, the tables had turned, and it was her sitting in that waiting room, full of anxiety. When I finally let her in, she stormed into my office, yelling at me, saying all the same things she had left on voicemail. I sat there listening quietly, honestly enjoying every second of her meltdown. It was clear she wasn't angry out of love. She was angry because her plans had fallen apart. She was mad because she'd lost control. I gave her a little smirk and asked, "So, how long have you been cheating on me?" She froze, then tried to lie, claimed it only started after my illness. I stared at her silently, letting her know I already knew everything. I pushed her to tell the truth. I told her I knew about the affair with AP and how long it had been going on. I asked point blank if she was only with me for money. She broke down and started crying, trying to spin it like it had been a harmless friendship at first. Then she admitted it had turned physical after she learned about my diagnosis. I looked at her and said, "Oh, so your husband's dying, and that's when you decide to sleep with another man? Real classy." She kept trying to cover it up with half-truths. I pressed harder. Eventually, she confessed everything. She admitted she had gone after AP because she knew about his inheritance. But AP wasn't willing to leave his wife unless Emma could prove she wasn't just using him for his money. That's when Emma promised to give him the house if he left his wife and married her. She had planned to trick him into thinking she owned the house to seal the deal. But thanks to AP's wife finding me and learning the truth, Emma's little scheme fell apart just in time. I smiled and told her to leave. She begged me to meet her for dinner. I said no. She tried one last time, saying, "Now that everything's out in the open, let's start over. We can fix this. I don't have any complaints anymore." She tried to cry her way back into my life. But she forgot. She wasn't my wife anymore. I wasn't going to bend to her guilt trips and crocodile tears. I told her to get out, or I'd call security. Seriously? Nothing has ever felt more satisfying than watching the defeated face of someone who betrayed you. I'll update once I settle into my new life. Update 3. Hey folks, just wanted to share some great news. My latest health check confirmed I've fully recovered. I've lost almost 20 pounds since my diagnosis. It's wild how much better I feel now that I've focused on myself instead of killing myself trying to earn for someone who didn't deserve it. Looking back, it blows my mind that I spent all that time grinding, thinking I was securing her future. And the moment she thought I was dying, she ditched me. The last time I posted here, I told you Emma had come to my office begging for another chance. Well, here's what happened next. After meeting with me, AP's wife went straight to him and told him the truth, that Emma had been chasing his inheritance from the start. Until then, AP had been defending Emma, thinking she was genuine because she let him move into the house. But once he found out the house wasn't even hers, and that she'd soon be completely dependent on him, he felt betrayed. Turns out Emma had lied to him too, about a lot of things. AP's wife was determined not to let Emma get her hands on that money, especially since it was supposed to go to their kids. In the end, AP's wife succeeded. She kicked Emma out of their lives for good. At this point, I have no idea what kind of situation AP has going on with his wife and family. His wife used to keep me updated from time to time, but we haven't spoken in a while. I did ask her a few times how she could even think about forgiving a man who cheated on her for 2 years. But every time I brought it up, she kind of dodged the question. Eventually, I stopped asking. Meanwhile, Emma, the ex, kept trying every trick in the book to worm her way back into my life. Calls, emails, nonstop texts. It got so overwhelming that I finally blocked her on everything. Then, once she found out I was buying a new place for myself, she started showing up at my office. She even sent flowers and little gifts to my workplace. I swear, the desperation was wild to see. The thing is, she doesn't have a job. And from what I've heard, the lease on the house is almost up. Only a couple of months left before it expires. One of my old neighbors told me Emma had actually been renting out one of the bedrooms for over a year. Apparently, the guy renting the room is a bachelor, and the rent he's paying is helping cover her other expenses. As for how she's surviving the rest of the time without an income? Seriously. I wouldn't be surprised if she's finding other ways to get by, if you catch my drift. At the end of the day, I've come to believe everything really does happen for a reason. And in this case, I think it happened for a good reason. My health's finally back on track. I bought a place of my own, a small 2-bedroom penthouse. It's nothing huge, but it's cozy, and I've been able to design it exactly the way I like. I couldn't be happier with it. A lot of people, friends, coworkers, even some family, have been telling me I should get back out there. Start dating again. At least go out and meet new people. Some of the younger folks at the office suggested a few dating apps that are geared toward people my age, especially those looking to start over or get a version 2.0 of their life. I even installed one of them, but seriously, I'm still not feeling very confident about jumping into the modern dating world. People keep warning me about scams and fake profiles on those apps, and I can't lie, it makes me a little nervous. The last thing I want is to get tangled up in another mess. but I'm open to advice if anyone's got tips on how to safely navigate that scene. Thanks again to everyone who supported me through all this. You guys have been incredible.